Hi, everybody. Hi, Toastmasters. How are you? Coming you from this Sunday morning here in beautiful New Hampshire on the East Coast of the US. My name's Dan Egan, and I'm a professional extreme skier. And in the 80s and the 90s, I was known for skiing some of the most remote regions of the world. Today, I'm going to speak to you about peak performance and the power of purpose. Mark Twain said there were only two important days of your life: the day you were born, and the second most important day, the day you discover why. Well, I was born to ski. I grew up, but that's a bit odd actually, because I'm a city kid, grew up in Boston, and I'm one of 7 kids. And we grew up in a really beautiful house with great parents. And my mom, her dad, my grandfather, lived on the highest hill in the city of Boston. And in the 1940s, my mother learned how to ski down the medium strip of the Parkway in Boston. And then it made sense that we also grew up on a hill. And outside of our house, there was an amazing wonderland and adventure every day. My mom's strategy for dealing with 8 kids was just to get us all out of the house every day. And of course, in the wintertime, it was a winter wonderland in Boston up on that hill. All our friends would come there. We would ski, sled. We would build jumps over the driveway, jump over the neighbor's fence, and live and land in their neighborhood. I'm also a sailor and grew up sailing. And from the very early age of 7, being kicked out of the house every day in the summertime, I would walk a quarter mile to the trolley, get on the trolley, go to the train, take the train into the city, hop on the bus, get off the bus, and walk the last mile to South Boston Yacht Club, which is a pretty rough neighborhood, Southie, and a rough yacht club, but it provided me access to the water. And I took advantage of that access from the very early age of 7, 8, 9, 10. I was sailing all around the Boston Harbor, up and down the coast. And I really think that how we were raised as kids fostered a lot of independence, a lot of confidence, and sort of a quest for adventure to go out and see the world. In 1976, my brother John ran away from home. He had just graduated high school, and he ran off to Vermont to become a ski bum. And he got himself a job washing dishes for $50 a week. Now, it's amazing that he did that. And it's also amazing that that one move really changed the course over time of the entire family. Just a few years later, John was skiing professionally on the World Pro Mogul Tour, the Freestyle Tour, and the World Pro Race Tour. And he's still the only skier ever to compete on both the World Pro Mogul Tour and the World Pro Race Tour in the same year. He was ranked high as 9th in the world in moguls and top 20 in the world in racing. And the Pro Race Tour came to a small ski hill just outside of Boston. And John stayed at the family house the night before the race. And that morning, when I was heading off to school, I was 14 years old. John was heading off to his ski race, dressed in his race suit, his padded sweater and padded pants, and he had his skis. And he said to me, "Dan, I'm going to work today." And as a 14-year-old boy, I had never pondered this idea that skiing could be a profession, that he was going to work. It always was just something we did for fun. And that thought really stayed with me. While John was living up in Vermont, my mom forbid me to visit him. She said it wasn't age appropriate for me to go up there. So I used to save my paper route money and buy a Greyhound bus ticket and go up to Vermont on winter weekends, sneak away and see my brother. And there I was exposed to a whole different world of skiing and a different lifestyle I hadn't seen before. And in hindsight, my mother was right. It wasn't age appropriate, but boy, was it fun. In the mid-'80s, I joined my brother on the slope. I was taking one of many college semesters off, and we decided that we would ski together as the Egan brothers. And we were broke, of course, and didn't have much money. And John said, you know, in Aspen, Colorado, there's a mogul contest on Fridays, and they give away $500. Let's go win some money. So we got in a car and we drove to Aspen and arrived Friday morning. And we entered that mogul contest. We signed up as the Egan Brothers from Vermont, sponsored by your mama and my mama. And that day, John won $300. And a few of the guys in the contest had recognized him from his earlier days on the tour. And they said to him, are you here for the start of the World Pro Mogul Tour? And we said, yes, of course. When and where is it? And they said, it's tomorrow at Vail. So we got in our car, we took our $300, and the next day we arrived in Vail, Colorado, and we signed up for the start of the 1988 World Pro Mogul Tour. And we signed up for the contest the same way we signed up the day before, as the Egan Brothers from Vermont, sponsored by your mama and my mama. Of course, we had no real sponsors. And I had only started competing in moguls the day before. It was my second contest. And here I was at the start of the World Pro Mogul Tour. There were 64 pros that day, and you go head to head. So in the first round, we both advanced and we went into the round of 32. And in the round of 32, you get your money back. So we were feeling pretty confident because we had broken even. And then I skied into the round of 16 along with my brother John. And now we were really among the top 16 pros in the world. And in the round of 16, I went up against Mean Dean, the bumping machine from Salt Lake City, Utah. And Dean had sponsors and he had patches all over his jacket and his coat. And he was a real pro and a legend. And in the round of 16, I beat Dean to the bottom and went into the round of 8. John skied out in the round of 16. And as we were riding the chairlift up to the start of the round of 8, I said, John, what should I do? He said, just keep doing what you're doing, dude. Beat the guy to the bottom. Well, in the round of 8, I went up against Kurt Rawls. Kurt Rawls was ranked 3rd in the world. And here I was at my second mogul contest ever. I had my baseball cap on backwards. I had my long 207 race skis. I was skiing a trail called Look Ma at Vail. And I looked over at Kurt and I winked and I asked him if he was ready to rumble. And away we went. And I was beating Kurt down to the first jump. Went off the first jump, landed, and I was still leading him into the second jump. And when I hit that second jump, up in the air, I realized I only had one ski on. My ski had blown off, and I crashed at the landing, and Kurt went on, and I was out. But I had won some money, and the Egan brothers had arrived. And we took that opportunity to keep skiing, you know, and from that day, we've gone on to ski around the world, 2 skiers from Boston. And over the years, I've experienced peak performance through the power of purpose. And I've developed a platform called the Performance Diamond in which I teach. But before we dive into that, do you want to go skiing around the world and see some of the places that we went? You know, my purpose as a professional skier was to attach myself to something larger than me. So when we first started skiing for Warren Miller Films, we had a bigger, wider audience than we could ever imagine. And then I met the famed Warren Miller film producer, and I said to Warren, Warren, I want to go all around the world, wherever CNN is. And he loved that idea. So in 1989, we jumped off the Berlin Wall. In 1990, we skied with in Perestroika in Russia on Mount Elbrus. 1991, we skied with the Kurds on the border of Turkey during the first Persian Gulf War. And in 92, we skied a week before the war started in Yugoslavia. In 2016, my brother John and I, we were inducted in the US Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame. Let's watch this video and travel around the world.
Decades before GoPro, YouTube, and cell phone video, these crazy brothers from New England were jumping cliffs and skiing steeps. John and Dan Egan pioneered extreme skiing a dozen years ahead of the first Winter X Games. They didn't wear helmets or backpacks with peeps and shovels, but they did have really cool one-piece suits in neon colors. In 1978, Big Brother John was working at Vermont's Sugar Bush when Warren Miller came through scouting talent for his next film. John made the cut, and the rest is a ski bum's dream come true. It wasn't long before John lured his favorite sidekick, Dan, to the screen, and the two began to show the world what could be done on the mountains. Cameras followed them to places never skied before, from volcanoes in Siberia to the Berlin Wall. They made first ascents in Turkey, Canada, and Greenland, and took their love of skiing to inspire peace in Yugoslavia, Russia, and Romania. The Egans, along with fellow Hall of Famer Scott Schmidt, were founding members of the North Face Extreme team, and with them, the Extreme mantra moved from the mountains of the world to Madison Avenue. Said to be Siamese twins attached at the soul, no other pair could match these brothers for skiing in sync, turn for turn, knowing just what the other would do. That sixth sense was never more real than in 1990, skiing Grand Targhee for Warren Miller's Extreme Winter. That Cornice break would become Warren Miller's most viewed film segment of all time. To this day, John and Dan continue to promote the sport and lifestyle they love. John serves as Chief Recreation Officer at Vermont's Sugar Bush, the same slopes where he launched his professional ski career back in 1978. Since 1991, Dan has run clinics around the world and continues to communicate his passion for winter in print and broadcast. For decades, the work ethic and down-home humor of these brothers from New England has influenced not only where and how we ski, but why we find fun and freedom on the mountain. Powder Magazine named them among the most influential skiers of all time. And now we're proud to induct these pioneers of extreme to the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame.
You know, it's amazing to me when I watch those old films because my memories are triggered and I'm right back in Turkey and Romania and Russia and the Arctic the minute I see that. You know, in the 80s and the 90s, if you saw a beer commercial or a soft drink commercial, you saw a couple of guys wearing bright one-piece suits with big hair and headbands. It was a good chance it was my brother John or I. And those are really fun days. You know, that purpose of skiing around the world, of going wherever CNN was something that really launched us into a place we couldn't imagine. The pictures of of skiers jumping off the Berlin Wall or skiing with Kurds during the Persian Gulf War. These were things that in a war-torn area where we could actually start to talk about inclusivity and how in mountain cultures, people get along and they just want to have peace. So it was a really interesting thing to have such a purpose to travel around and take skiing to these parts of the world. But a beautiful thing about purpose and age is as we get older, sometimes and often our purpose changes. Now, for me, as a professional who teaches, coaches, and mentors and consults, my purpose is to change the way my clients see the mountain and the world. I want to change their paradigm. And the platform I use to do that is the Performance Diamond. Now, here in the Performance Diamond, the very top is purpose. Why are you here? The first question I ask my clients when they come to ski with me is, Why are you here? What is it that you want to achieve? Some want to keep up with their kids. Some want to become more efficient. Some want to ski the great glaciers of Europe or go heli skiing in Alaska. Once they start to tell me their dreams, I ask them to describe it for me. What's the emotion? How do you feel about if we go heli skiing in Alaska? And I listen to them. And then I ask them, what is their commitment to their purpose? What are they willing to do to achieve their purpose? How committed are they? And the last thing we talk about is technique. I teach skiing from the top down, not the bottom up. I teach the mental side of skiing. So let's dive into purpose. How do we discover somebody's purpose? Well, for some people, purpose has intention, right? We need to set the intention in the future. And understanding purpose takes intentional listening. When I listen to somebody's dreams, I take it as an intimate moment. They're telling me something they've always wanted to do. And I listen. Is it a bucket list item? Is it a lifelong quest? What drives them to go heli skiing in Alaska? And then I celebrate their dream with them. I tell them what it's like to ski in Alaska. I describe for them what the helicopter ride is up to the top of the Chugach mountain range, what it's like to step out on a knife edge of a mountain onto the Chugach and look out over the ocean and look down at the glacier and all you see is powder. But what I don't do is I don't anchor any negative responses. If somebody says, I'd love to go heli skiing in Alaska, but I could never afford it. I'm not fit enough. Oh, of course, I'm not that good. I won't echo any of the negative anchors. I'll just let it pass on by. I always tell people that, I don't have to catch every ball they throw at me. And on the negative ones, I just let it by and I reinforce the dream, what it would be like to achieve that purpose. On the emotional side, it's really, really important, right? Because our emotions anchor us. And this is a favorite quote of mine that, at the end of the day, people won't remember what you said or did. They'll remember how you made them feel. And when people come skiing with me, I want them to feel great. When I greet them, I say, what a great day we're going to have today. I don't make any judgments on the day. I don't make any grand statements about how we're going to have a great day. I won't say, wow, it snowed a lot up there today. Because if I say that, they might be nervous about deep snow. I don't know their judgment about snow. If I say the temperature is really nice and they think it's cold, right away I've engaged their critical thinking, so I don't do that. I just simply say, we're going to have a great day. And I reinforce that throughout the day. And then I ask them questions and we talk about the emotions of the day so that they really anchor themselves in the feeling of the day. Because ultimately, we are not thinking machines that feel, rather, we are feeling machines that think. Let's say that again. We are not thinking machines that feel, we are feeling machines that think. I love that. Our emotions lead us. When it comes to commitment, by the time somebody has found me in Montana, Big Sky, Montana, or Val d'Isère, France, or down in South America, they're pretty committed. They've put their money where their mouth is. They've gotten on a plane. They've bought their skis. They've got their hotel. They're committed. Now, they don't always know their purpose, but they definitely are committed to the experience of going skiing with a guide and with somebody like myself. So they're fairly committed. But what they're not 100% committed to is the fact that eventually in alpine skiing, you got to point your skis down the hill. After all, it's fall line skiing, not cross hill skiing. A lot of people, when they ski, they bring a lot of tension. They're nervous. And the tension creates an imbalance, an inefficiency. So I talk to them about how I'm going to help you become an efficient skier, ski longer, enjoy more of the day. The most stable part of skiing is the turn. A long turn creates a lot of stability. A short turn shortens the length of stability. Let's make nice, long, stable turns and feel comfortable on our skis. I also explained to them the purpose of turning. Most people, when I ask what is the purpose of turning, they tell me to slow down, but it's not. The purpose of turning is to redirect energy and to accelerate. You know, I've interviewed a lot of ski engineers, and nobody's ever manufactured a ski to go slow. No, the purpose of skiing is acceleration. Now, this would freak some people out. So I have to understand that and work through that through stability. We're going to be stable, and we might ski a little bit longer arc, but not increase our speed too much. And what I tell people is that deceleration, if you want to slow down, deceleration lives in the future. It's kind of like life. If you're in a bad situation, sometimes you can't make it better without a change. Same in skiing. If you're out of balance in a turn and want to slow down, initiate the next new turn to help you. But all of this triggers foundational belief. And foundational beliefs are formed at a very young age. This is myself at 10 years old in my first ever ski race for the Blizzard Ski Club at Mount Sunapee, New Hampshire. It was a rainy, wet spring New England day. And here I am racing without goggles because my goggles were all steamed up. And now on this day with all my brothers and sisters, we had to climb to the top of the ski race course to ski down. And of course, my two older brothers, being 8 and 6 years older, didn't wait for little snotty-nosed 10-year-old Danny. So I had this foundational belief of anxiety that people weren't going to wait for me. I went on to win my age group that day, but I was very anxious. And over the course of my ski career, I've had to learn how to change that foundational belief of anxiety and let that settle and let that dissipate, and do that through attaching myself to emotions of of positivity. The thing about skiers, and when I ski with people as a guide, I have to figure out what their freak out level is. At what point will they not make the next turn? It's super important to me to understand where their freak out level is so that I don't trigger that, so that they don't fall or have an accident. So I'm really aware of the foundational belief and the language that I use so that I don't trigger negative foundational beliefs that are foundational on how they think. When I work with Olympic athletes, world-class athletes, X Games athletes, I always try and get at their foundational belief of what they really believe about themselves. And if it's a negative one, I change it through emotion. Lastly is technique. We've done all of this, and I haven't even talked about how to ski, how to make a turn. Because if I understand their purpose, I understand their emotion, I understand their commitment, I'll build a technique package, strategy, tactics, and tips that will help them achieve their purpose. I'm not going to teach them how to carve like a racer if they want to go skiing in Alaska. When it comes to technique and peak performance, we need to enter it free of the critical mind, free of judgment. And that judgment for many people starts when they wake up. It's cold, it's snowy. I don't know what to dress. Did I bring the right clothing? Did I wear the right skis? And the minute I meet people at the bottom of the slope, I reinforce their decisions. Hey, I love those skis. Those are great skis. Those are going to work great today. Hey, you look like you're dressed perfect for the day. And I won't engage the critical mind, the critical thinking. I like to remind skiers that ski with me that what you think of your own skiing is none of your business, right? Don't judge yourself. Just allow it. People that ski down to me, many times they tell me what they did wrong. And I always wonder why they didn't tell me what they did right. And of course, when it comes to performance, don't let performance ruin a good day of skiing. We're out here to be fun, have social, and let performance slip on by. So in the performance diamond, we can achieve peak performance when we understand our purpose. If you look at the best ski racers in the world, Michaela Schifrin, right now, the US woman ski racer, is on top of the world. She's an amazing skier, and her purpose is to be the best in the world. She loves it. She's 100% committed, and her technique is flawless. When I think about my own days of a peak performance, you know, my purpose is to help others change the way they see the mountain. I love it. I'm 100% committed. What I say about skiing is it saved me and almost killed me many times. And my technique, it's questionable at best, for sure. I like to remind people I'm certified in nothing and qualified only through my experience, where I've gone, what I've seen, and what I've done. So when it comes to peak performance, you need to be centered in the now, free of the critical mind, to enter what I call the flow state. The flow state is, for me, the best ski runs I've ever had. I've observed from above, and I've been almost an outer body experience. I want to show you a video to explain what I mean. To really feel the G-force of a turn is a special thing. It's a gift. When I enter into that flow state, when I actually get to that point where I'm just doing it, it's me doing it. I'm not thinking about it. I'm not reacting to it. I'm just in the moment. But you have to be willing to let go of judgment to get there. Flow state is the time and the space, the silence between the notes. For me, it's a transition between the turns. And I think once you engage yourself in gravity, in fall line skiing, flow is just a normal, everyday result of that. And I believe that skiers are here to complement the landscape, that we should make it prettier. I need to find my flow state so that I can enter back into the place of my youth. Well, the beauty of youth, right, is not knowing. That's the beauty of it. So when you look at Jack and you look at some of these kids ripping it up, they are in it. So when you watch a beautiful skier ski, you're seeing something. You're seeing a performance, you're seeing a dance, you're seeing the flow state. You know, skiers are seekers. They're seeking something. Whether young or old, when that's discovered, that seeking becomes a driving force in their life. They're not satisfied with that one little touch. They're going to do it again. Big Sky is a very, very special place. There's a belonging here. And in the belonging, there's a becoming. And what's so beautiful about what people belong to is that when they become, they discover. And once you hone the skills to ski Liberty Bowl or to drop into Lennon, you understand, because every day the experience is different. Every day the experience brings wonderment. And it introduces you into an alpine environment that is the definition of flow. The flow state, what a great place to be when you enter a situation where you're free of critical thinking and you just are, and you allow the forces to be and you react to it on your way down the mountain. It's amazing skiing, and to enter into this platform of the performance diamond, into the flow state. You know, I was a little nervous about being part of the Toastmasters convention this weekend. My uncle was a Toastmaster, my grandfather was a Toastmaster, but me, I knew nothing about Toastmasters. And I was a little nervous. And on Friday night, when I logged on to the live stream, I was like, oh my God, Glenn was teaching the shimmy and the twerk. And I was pretty amazed. And somebody made the comment to me that Toastmasters is a broad church. And I had to let that saturate and think about broad church. And then throughout the weekend, I've been amazed at the contest participants, and congratulations to all the contest winners, and all the other keynote speakers have been phenomenal. And I slowly, over the course of the weekend, came to understand broad church, that it's an inclusiveness, that it invites and expands, that Toastmaster through communication, it really talks through experience and emotion, and that the individual is building confidence through that expansion. And that's raising the collective consciousness through communication. What a great thing. All this weekend, I've seen passion. I've seen passionate presentations, passionate speeches in the contest, and I've been moved by that passion because I too love passion. And I believe that there is no stronger purpose than a passion. And if you follow that passion, the way will just open up for you, and amazing things will come to pass. We've all experienced it. It's been an amazing part to be here with Toastmasters. This year, I've just launched my newest book, 30 Years in a White Haze. And as I was prepping for this talk, I realized that 31 years ago today, on May 2nd, 1990, is the anniversary of the Mount Elbrus climb that I participated in Russia. And on May 2nd, 1990, a storm crashed into Mount Elbrus and trapped 50 climbers. I was among them at 17,000 feet. On May 2nd, 1990, it snowed 5 feet on Mount Elbrus in Russia. The winds were over 60 miles an hour, and over 15 people perished. I was lost in the storm for 38 hours. A Russian found me alone in my snow cave and saved my life. Prior to him finding me, I was having the white light experience I believe that I had passed over. I was meeting my guardian angels. And a 6'4" Russian found me in my snow cave, slapped me around, and brought me back to life. The next day, we rescued 14 people. You know, when my mom used to kick us out of the house as kids, she always said, "Be home for dinner." And as a young boy, my purpose was to be home for dinner. I didn't want to miss out on the treats and the cakes and the brownies after dinner. And if you're late in a family of 7, it all gets gobbled up. And while I was in that snow cave freezing to death, I heard my mother's voice, "Be home for dinner." And when Sasha found me in that cave, that's all I did in my mind was repeat, "Be home for dinner," as we climbed down that mountain in the storm the next day. 30 Years in a White Haze is my memoir of my ski history, my travels around the world, and the disaster of Mount Elbrus. It's amazing that that just coincided so perfect with today here at the Toastmasters. I think maybe my grandfather had something to do with it. So I really want to thank you for having me here. It's been a pleasure. And I think we're going to stick around for some questions. Thanks so much.
Dan, thank you so much for that. It was a delightful journey with a mixture of beautiful flowing video and metaphors and messages. And I just had the thought, you've taken us from the Boston Tea Party to the Boston Ski Party and back again. And you finished with your book, 30 Years in a White Haze. And it got me thinking about that. You talk a lot about beliefs and not holding yourself back. That idea about it's not what happens to you, but how you respond. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I think that's true, particularly in athletics. There's no time to think about what is happening to you. You can't let a bad turn contaminate the next good turn. So I always say, don't attach yourself to the past, rather attach yourself to what could happen in the future.
Yeah. When you were talking about the skiing and also showing the video demonstrations, the 3 things that came across to me were you have a connection with the snow. You have the flow as you go through the experience, and you have a purpose. And I was thinking, connection, flow, and purpose. Are they not 3 key things for a speaker with an audience?
Well, I mean, that's why I related to all the speakers throughout this weekend as I popped in and out of this conference. There is such a connection I see. And I'm so amazed at all the speakers that are speaking without audiences. Me, I feed off the energy of the audience. So to be in a room without an audience, really just overcoming that is something else. So there's a little less feel. For me, when I ski, my skis are an extension of my feet. The tip of my skis are like the toes of my feet. I feel the snow. I flex the ski. It gives me all the information I need to remain in balance. So I really feel connected to the snow.
Okay. And the flex that you're talking about and that connection and being able to respond, is there something there for speakers about you have to be able to flex and adapt to what's happening in the room?
Oh, there's no doubt about it, because, in this world of technology and PowerPoint, so much, we're relying so much on technology, so much can go wrong. And if you're not able to adapt to a delay in your talk, or the PowerPoint or the clicker going down, you have to be able to respond. So that's being in the moment. And of course, that's all about being free of the critical mind. What I think about my speech is none of my business.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I was thinking about, for many people who are non-skiers, they focus on but isn't it cold? So I was curious about, naturally you have the kit to deal with it, but overcoming the cold on the mountain, what's the parallel there to overcoming the cold of your audience when speaking?
Well, whenever you trigger foundational beliefs, you're triggering an internal debate with people, and you're triggering the yeah buts. I would ski, yeah, but it's cold. I would ski, yeah, but I don't know, I'm not that good. And to kind of be aware of those foundational beliefs and not trigger them is not to trip over them. So when somebody perceives their perception of skiing is cold, it starts in buying the proper kit and getting ready. If somebody shows up to ski with me and they're ill prepared, rather than point it out that they have the wrong jacket, I might ask them if they're interested in my advice on how to stay warmer today. Should we go get hand warmers? I provide a solution rather than a critical comment. And I think that's really important in speaking too, right? It's all about the solutions you seek, not being critical of the issue.
Yeah. And it's about providing the environment, providing the support, providing the mentoring, and putting it out there as an offer rather than a directive.
Correct. I mean, I think that you did that so well, Glenn, in the Friday night. You encouraged so many people. You took me out of my comfort zone to twerk and tweak and dance on Zoom, which I had never done before. And that energy you brought came to me here in New Hampshire.
Well, life is about sharing experiences and inviting others to let go of what's holding them back and join in, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And so one final thing, Dan, I'd like to ask you, what question would you like to be asked?
Oh, you could throw anything at me, Glenn. I could hit most curveballs, but yeah, I don't know, I'm just so grateful for this opportunity. When it comes to skiing, when it comes to purpose, when it comes to changing people's paradigm, I'm all in on that conversation.
All right. And there is something around understanding your environment, isn't there? I remember going to a fabulous keynote many years ago about a guy doing cross-country skiing to the North Pole. And he was saying in the training, he said, if you go too slow, you freeze. If you go too fast, you sweat. And when it cools down, it turns to ice inside your suit. So you've got this narrow window.
I think it comes down to pace, right? Don't rush, and don't dilly-dally, as my mother would say. Don't dilly-dally. So yeah. I think pace is everything, and understanding your environment is also everything. And that's why we train. As a mountain guide, my job is to understand the worst case scenario while providing somebody with the best experience of their life. And those two things seem at odds, right? It's my job to be watching the weather, knowing the avalanche conditions, knowing how long and how fast we can move through the mountains so that we can return back home safely. From the client's point of view, they're in awe of where they are. They're doing something maybe they've never done before or done multiple times, but they're attached to the experience they're going to have. At the back of our minds, when we head off to the football pitch, the rugby pitch, the ski field, we're always thinking today could be the day, could be the best day of my life. And the mentor and the coach has to prepare for the eventuality of the best day and also to be there if it becomes the worst.
Right. Dan, it's been a pleasure and a privilege to spend some time with you and get some further thoughts from you. Thank you very much for joining us at D91 conference this weekend. We wish you all the best. And I'm going to hand back now to Gagan on the main stage. Cheerio for now.
Thanks, everybody.